Yeah, you ever get a text or an email that just makes your spidey senses tingle a bit,
Oh, definitely.
especially when it looks like it's coming from, someone important, someone in charge?
Right.
Well, if you're working in public service, that feeling, it's probably more important now than ever.
Mm-hmm.
Today, we're doing a deep dive into a recent heads up from the FBI. It's about a really sophisticated threat. AI voice clones
Yeah.
used to impersonate U.S. government officials. I mean, it sounds like science fiction, doesn't it?
It really does. But it's happening right now.
That's the thing.
Absolutely. And what's really striking is this isn't some, theoretical, maybe someday scenario.
No.
The FBI put this warning out just this past May 2025, and it's based on activity they've been tracking since April.
It's April. Wow.
Yeah. Threat actors are actively using these AI-generated voices out there in the wild.
Right. And look, for everyone in public service tuning in, this deep dive,
Yeah.
it's really laser focused on you. Our mission, is to break down exactly what this threat looks like, get a handle on how these AI voice things actually work their magic.
Their deception, yeah.
Exactly. And most importantly, arm you with some real practical steps.
Yeah.
Things you can actually do to safeguard yourselves, your colleagues, and the citizens you serve.
Crucial.
Because this isn't just some tech story, right? It's about protecting that fundamental trust in the work you do.
It really is. So let's get right into it then. The core of this FBI alert is about scammers using artificial intelligence, AI, to create voices that are, virtually indistinguishable from senior U.S. officials.
Okay, AI voice cloning. It still sounds so futuristic. Can you, break down how that actually works? How can it fool real people?
Sure. So essentially, these attackers are using AI that's been fed huge amounts of audio data.
Okay.
Think of it like the AI learns the specific sound patterns, the rhythm, even the little quirks, the nuances of someone's voice.
Yeah.
And this lets them generate pretty convincing fakes with sometimes surprisingly little original audio to work from. We don't know the exact tech they're using, but the point is, these aren't clunky robot voices.
Yeah.
They're designed to sound like specific, often trusted individuals.
And how they're trying to reach people. I mean, it's not just old school phone calls, is it? The FBI mentioned smishing and vishing.
Right.
Maybe just a quick reminder on those.
Yeah, good idea. So, smishing is basically phishing, but through SMS text messages.
Got it.
And vishing is the voice version. Voice phishing. Think scam phone calls, but now potentially using that cloned voice of someone you think you know or should trust.
Like your boss or the senior official.
Exactly. And the FBI is seeing these AI voices used in both texts and voice calls. The end goal, pretty simple. Trick you into giving up access to your personal accounts.
Which, okay, for someone in public service,
Yeah.
that could open up a whole can of worms, couldn't it?
Yeah.
It's not just about, their personal Facebook or something.
Precisely. Much wider implications. The FBI warns that if an attacker gets into a public servant's personal account, that can be a launchpad.
A launchpad. How so?
Well, they could then use that access to target other government officials, people in their network, their contacts. It could lead to sensitive information getting compromised, or it sets the stage for even more social engineering attacks later on.
Like a domino effect.
Exactly like a domino effect. Maybe access to a personal email reveals contact lists or details about projects that they can then use in the next attack.
And the article mentioned that once they get that foothold, that compromised account can be reused in future attacks. That's a chilling thought. It's not just a one-off thing.
It really isn't, and it just highlights why you have to be constantly vigilant. These often aren't isolated incidents. They can be part of a bigger campaign where, each successful breach makes them stronger for the next attempt.
Okay, to really drive home how serious this is, the article shared some examples. Real-world cases. There was that Ferrari executive. Kind of a cool story. Who stopped an attack by asking about a specific book.
Yeah, that's a great example. It shows how a little bit of specific personal knowledge can trip up even a sophisticated fake.
Right, because the AI wouldn't know that obscure detail.
Exactly. The exec asked about a book the real person supposedly recommended. The AI or the scammer using it had no clue. But we've also seen huge financial losses, too.
Like what?
Well, a British engineering firm, Arup, they lost an incredible $25 million.
$25 million. Wow.
How? a deepfake video call, apparently. And back in 2019, a British energy company got hit with AI-generated calls,
Huh?
lost over £200,000.
Okay, $25 million. That really puts the potential damage into perspective, even if public sector orgs aren't always dealing with, moving that kind of money around.
Right.
The disruption, compromising citizen data, that erosion of public trust, that could be just as devastating. It hits right at the core of public service.
Precisely. In the public sector, the target might be less about a direct wire transfer and more about, say, gaining access to sensitive files or manipulating official communications or even impersonating officials to spread misinformation to the public.
Yeah.
And it's telling that the article notes 68% of businesses already have some kind of deepfake response plan. Yeah, and nearly 2/3 of finance professionals say they've been targeted by deepfake fraud. So it's definitely becoming widespread.
So how are these attackers getting that initial foot in the door? The FBI mentioned malicious links specifically.
They did. They warned about links often disguised as like a necessary step to move to a more secure messaging platform or something similar.
The old click here for security trick.
Exactly. The goal is just to get you to click. That click could download malware or steal your login details.
It always seems to come back to clicking something you shouldn't, doesn't it?
Often.
And clearly, social engineering, playing on trust, creating that false urgency, that's a huge part of this.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Max Gannon, he's from the cybersecurity firm Fence. He pointed out that both smishing and vishing rely heavily on manipulating you,
How so?
creating that sense of urgency, maybe fear, or just playing on deference to authority, making you act before you think. And he also highlighted something particularly worrying.
What's that?
These attackers are getting better at spoofing phone numbers, making the call look like it's coming from someone or some agency you already know and trust.
Oh, that's really sneaky.
Right.
Because you see a familiar number and your defenses just drop.
Exactly. Gannon notes that standard phone filtering systems, they often can't catch this kind of spoofing, so it gives you this false sense of security. And just to underline how AI is boosting these kinds of threats, Coffin saw a massive jump, 70% in business email compromise attacks between 2023 and 2024.
70% increase.
Yeah. And they directly link that surge to the growing use of AI in crafting these, very convincing fake messages and calls.
So the million-dollar question then, how can we actually spot these fakes? The FBI mentioned looking for weird things in videos, like distorted hands.
Right, visual cues.
But what about just audio? If the voice sounds, like, perfect.
Yeah, that's the challenge. The FBI acknowledges that this AI-generated stuff has gotten incredibly good very fast, making it really hard to tell fake from real just by listening or looking sometimes. They do suggest looking for things like, a voice not quite syncing with lip movements in a video. But honestly, the fakes are getting so sophisticated now, just relying on your senses. It's not a foolproof strategy anymore.
Okay, so our eyes and ears might fail us here. What are the FBI's key recommendations then? What are the practical things you should actually be doing?
The main thing, the absolute core advice, is independent verification.
Independent verification.
Meaning, if you get a suspicious text or a voice message, especially one claiming to be from someone senior or asking for access or sensitive info, you have to confirm who it is through a completely separate channel, a trusted channel. So look up their official contact number or email yourself. Don't just hit reply or use the number they call from.
Right. Don't use the info they provided.
Exactly. Call them back on a number you know is theirs. And double-check any information they shared through those same known verified sources.
Makes total sense. Don't trust the voice. Don't trust the number that popped up. Take that extra step. Verify through official channels.
Precisely.
And they also hammered home the point about never clicking unverified links or opening attachments, right? Which sounds like basic cyber hygiene, but...
It is, but it's even more critical now.
That's
Absolutely. And another huge one the FBI stresses, never, ever send money or gift cards or cryptocurrency based on some unsolicited call or message.
Especially through an unverified channel.
That should be a massive red flag right there. Huge.
And I thought that suggestion about setting up a secret word or maybe a phrase with trusted colleagues, that was actually a pretty clever low-tech idea.
It's an excellent idea, a really good additional layer of security. If you have that prearranged word or phrase with, say, your immediate boss or close colleagues, you can use it to quickly check if a weird request is legit. Especially if it's out of the ordinary. It's like a quick challenge response.
Right, like a verbal password almost.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's bring this right back to our listeners, the folks working hard in public service every day. Why is this threat particularly relevant to you? And how can knowing this help you make a difference?
Well, as public servants, you're often in positions of trust,
Right.
authority. You often handle sensitive information.
Right.
That makes you prime targets for these kinds of sophisticated AI-powered scams. And it's not just about protecting your own data. If your accounts get compromised,
Right.
they could be used to impersonate you. Imagine the damage that could do. Manipulating citizens, disrupting services, maybe even compromising security on a larger scale.
So it's really not just about protecting ourselves, it's about protecting the public trust itself. I mean, if a citizen gets a call that sounds exactly like their local official asking for something,
Yeah.
but it's a fake,
Yeah.
that can seriously erode faith in government, can it?
Exactly. That's the bigger picture. So by staying informed, by taking these proactive steps like that independent verification, being super cautious with unsolicited messages, you are directly helping to secure official channels.
You're protecting the integrity of the whole system.
You are. And preventing potential harm to the citizens you serve. Building that security-aware culture within your agencies, sharing this info with colleagues, reinforcing best practices. It's all crucial.
It really feels like being on the front lines against a totally new kind of digital deception.
It kind of is.
And maybe understanding how these attacks work can also help shape how public communications are designed in the first place.
That's a really insightful point.
Like maybe we need to build in more ways for citizens to easily verify that an official communication is actually legitimate.
Absolutely. By knowing the tactics attackers use, agencies can proactively adapt their own communication strategies, build in those layers of reassurance for citizens, make it harder for these impersonation attempts to actually work.
Okay, so let's try and sum this up. The key takeaway here seems crystal clear. AI voice cloning. It's not sci-fi anymore.
Not at all.
It's a real, present, and growing threat. It's being actively used right now to target people, potentially including all of you listening in public service. The goal: gain access to sensitive accounts and information.
And that brings us to, I think, a really important thought for you to take away and consider. Given how fast these AI-driven social engineering attacks are evolving, how sophisticated they're becoming.
Yeah.
How can public service agencies proactively change their communication, their security protocols to not just maintain but actually strengthen public trust? What new methods, maybe technological, maybe procedural, can be explored to reliably authenticate official communications in an era where a voice, something we inherently trust, can be faked so convincingly?
That's a heavy question. What new ways can we prove who we are digitally when voices fail us?
Exactly. It's something with huge implications for your daily work and ultimately for the security and trust involved in the services you provide to the public. Something to really mull over.